So, you guys remember a couple of years ago, we got to hear about this game called Starfield from Bethesda?
You mean the Sky little trailer and that was it?
Yeah, exactly. We got literally a quick peek at it. Well, that was back in 2018. Yep. We saw a little bit more in 2019. And then this year, Microsoft buys ZeniMax, which owns Bethesda, and we started hearing like, oh no, I feel like PlayStation gamers started being like, oh no, now all of Bethesda stuff is going to be only on Microsoft, and I think it was Jim Ryan, Phil Spencer came out and was like, oh, don't worry about it, like we're gonna honor all our existing PS5 exclusives like Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, stuff like this. And then you started hearing this whole better best or first better best thing, like the kind of the talk where it was like, well, Bethesda games will either come out first on Xbox or they'll be better or best on Xbox. But they didn't always talk exclusives that much. And then Jeff Grubb, who I think a lot of people know from GamesBeat, said that Starfield will be exclusively on Xbox and PC, which is funny to me to say exclusive on two things, but on Xbox and PC, which I think a lot of people weren't expecting, but like maybe for some of us, you're like, oh, you're waiting for that one game to drop that was like, oh, okay. I think I foolishly thought the exclusives would start on games we hadn't heard of yet. Like, it felt like, well, we've heard of Starfield from 3 years ago, so probably not that one. But then they do get it, and I thought that was really interesting. Does this sway you guys either way on playing this or not? Because I don't know which Xbox is going to be on. I mean, I would guess this is going to be rounding the corner on when they said they might have exclusives to the Series X, but I think they said no for the first 2 years, which 2022, if it were to come out next year, would still be in that first 2 years. Chris, what do you think?
I don't think it will release on Xbox One. I don't even know that it'll be 2022, but regardless of if it is or isn't, I do not think this will be on Xbox One. I do think it will be PC and the Series consoles specific. As far as what you had made mention of, you were kind of thinking that maybe this would be one because we had at least heard of it. Yeah. That it might be one of the ones where, you were saying something we've not heard of at all might be Xbox only. It's not surprising to me if this turns out to be the case, because at the moment it's rumor, so it could change, I guess. But if it does turn out to be the case, I always felt like it kind of would make sense that Starfield would be an Xbox exclusive or maybe their first big one. Because up until now, I mean, Starfield is vaporware. It's a name. Like, that's literally all it is. It's never been on a single thing. Nobody even knows what it's about. So it's like, to me, it's as good as being a game we don't know about, in essence. So I kind of feel like it makes sense. And at least from, what was his name? Todd Howard? Yeah. If I remember right, he had said something like, oh, this is the game I always wanted to make, and blah, blah, like, so there's just an air of hype around it, considering, his comments about it, and then also the fact that, they made a lot of other games that people like Skyrim and whatnot, that are kind of in that similar vein of game style, like an RPG and whatnot. So, I mean, it's not surprising that this would be one of the first ones that we find out if indeed it is the case that it's exclusive. And as far as for me, does it push a needle one way or the other for me? Like, I'm just not a fan of Bethesda games. Like, and I've tried several of them. So to me, like, I'm absolutely open to show me what you got when this becomes an actual thing besides just a logo, and I will absolutely look at it, and maybe it'll entice me. But right now, if history bears repeating, this isn't going to be for me. Yeah. So
Jeff Grubb also went on to say that he believes that the title will be shown at E3 next month in June, and that it will be released in 2022. He's not the boss, but he brought us the first bit of news. He's bringing us the second bit of news. So we'll see. Eduardo, what do you think? Starfield, does Bethesda and RPG even tickle your fancy anyway? Were you a Skyrim guy? I don't remember. I started it like 7 times and never got into it very far.
I never got into Skyrim, but that's mostly because I'm just not always into fantasy games. And so it was more that than anything else. I love most of the Bethesda's games, the Wolfensteins and Fall.
That's Tim. Tim loves Fallout.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward
Dishonored.
to it. I'm very much
Dishonored.
What's that?
Is it Bethesda? Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah,
Dishonored.
definitely.
Yeah. Deathloop looking forward to. And I'm very much with Chris in that, to me, this is a new title because it hasn't been released yet. And so I don't have any, they've got exclusives on Sony. I don't have any problem with them having exclusives on Xbox. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing more of it because I don't know what to expect.
The internet being the internet, we saw a lot of whining, but Tim, do you think that, I think we've talked about on the show, do you believe, though, that exclusives kind of move this whole thing forward, right? Exclusives are good for the industry.
Yeah, I think it depends on what side of the exclusive you're on. I'm a PlayStation guy. I love a lot of the PlayStation exclusives. I do not play a whole lot of Xbox exclusive games, and I haven't found a game yet that's going to entice me to actually purchase a new Xbox. And this game falls right in that line. I know nothing about this game. I do like Bethesda games. I don't like all of them. I did play a lot of Skyrim back in the day, but right now it doesn't entice me to do anything right now. I want to know more about this game, and maybe it becomes the catalyst for me to purchase an Xbox. Maybe not, but we just don't know. We don't know a whole lot yet.
Yeah,
but
I think
for me, it does seem a little weird though that, and granted, this is all hindsight, but you make an announcement about this new game, and now, so you get both PlayStation and Xbox people excited about it, and now you're going to make this exclusive because your company got bought by Microsoft. So if I was a PlayStation guy, I'd probably be like, well, that kind of sucks. Because if you were excited about this game, even though you don't know anything about it, now you're not, right? Now you're like, well, I can't play this game. So we'll just have to see. Like, E3 is right around the corner. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, the one thing that makes me excited, anything that it's owned by Microsoft seems like it's going to be coming day and date on that old Game Pass. So that is great news. And maybe even, and I know I don't know if it works like this everywhere, but if it's coming to Xbox and PC, not saying that my PC can run a game like this, but maybe it comes to PC for free as well on day one.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of exclusives, it was really weird this week on the PS5 when you turn it on. There's a little explore button that kind of gives you news on games you've played or are interested in. And even though I know Sony gets the money no matter where you play it, it was really weird to turn on my PS5 and see a big splash page for Days Gone with huge lettering that said, now available on PC.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That was weird.
That is weird because you're like, can I buy it here for PC? You know what I'm saying? Like, where are you about to send me if I click this?
Exactly. Yeah, it was really.
Where are you going with this?
And I get Sony gets money if you go and play it on PC, but it was just really weird to see anything advertised for PC.
What are you going to say, Chris?
does this, are you, because I know you have a Series X, but let's just assume that when this comes out, it's not going to be supported on that device anymore. How are you sitting about
I have
Starfield?
an Xbox One X.
Yeah, well, sorry. Xbox Ones in general. Like, I think whenever Xbox One and One S and One X, they're all going to be shelved or no longer supported at the same time, as far as I know. So does this, what you know of it, or just the
You know, what's hard is that I'm in you all's camp, right? Like, Skyrim, like, just couldn't for some reason do it, but then like love Dishonored, but you know they are saying that this is an RPG, and so you're like, okay, and you're like, and I don't know what kind of games Todd Howard likes, but you know he was quoted as, like you said, about saying this is the game he's been wanting to make for a very, very long time. So that just gets me excited, right? Because I'm you know, anything that's a labor of love, sometimes you're like, yeah, all right, well, let's see it. And then it being quote unquote free on day one definitely gets me like, okay. And I mean, if Game Pass does anything, it'll definitely make me buy a Series X, like, just because it's too good a deal to pass up, or at least a Series S or a Series S, as in Sam, because you know, again, I'm not super like I need all the frames and all the pixels, because the Game Pass deal is just so good that it I could see it push me in that direction.
Yeah.